Hi friends, today we are going to see the topic the maximum city. Pilla House is where the Nepali lives. It is an area around a 19th century theatre, a playhouse. Around Pilla House are the buildings with hundreds of the women lining the stairs, and as you walk up, they grab up by your luggages and take you inside the room, explains the cabbie who is escorted us. I ask how long 30 rupees would buy you. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, it's depend on you. I can see a man walking back from the Pilla house in lungis, looking relaxed, smoking cigarettes. The men who go there are laborers, cart pullers, coolies. Men who work with their bodies all day long and in the night by another's working body. Buccini Vadi, who where go to the next, is a series of a street behind a small doorway. The first few shops sells Sikh kebabs, and at all the hours of the night there are the men eating kebabs with onions. Slabs of the ice in front are abound with a fresh green mint to be sprinkled on the meat. Inside, the impression is that of an open doll house. Inside each of 100 odds room are male musicians, and the female singers and the dancers perform the mujura. The sound of the different mujurwalis of tabla and harmonium floats out into the alley. I will send the cabbie to negotiate in one house that spots an air conditioner. He comes back with a price 300 rupees for 3 songs, and we take off our shoes at the door and sit inside on the mattress on the floor. The room has a bridge where liquors is kept, a TV about it, a small stereo player, and a paper Indian flag protruding from a showcase above. The singer, unnaturally fair, asks us in Urdu accented Hindi what we like to hear, ghazal, old songs or the new songs. She begins with a ghazal accompanied by the another female singers in the chorus, and a tabla player and a harmonium player behind her. The singer is unremarkable. What is inductives in when she brings her hands together to clap out the beats. It is the loudest sound I have ever heard a pair of a human hand make. It has a metallic quality to it, but there are no rings or instruments hidden between her rings. She had crooked a finger of one hand in a particular way, cupped her palms just so, and the sound is a thunderclap in the small room. Presently, a dancer is summoned. A very pretty girl is an expansive silk dress, but when she dances, it is so bad we have to laugh. She throws her arms about and twill in a bad imitation of the countless mujra scenes in Hindi films. Most of the dancers work in the bar until closing time 12:30 a.m. and they finish out the night dancing in Buji Ini Vadi. Here is in this alley there are no closing hours. It seems to exist in an judiciary all its own. There is a picture of a singer much younger hanging in the room. It is at a concert she has given in some halls. She and her rest of the musicians are from Bandras. She tells us about the Nawabs of old who sent their sons to be sexually educated by the Tafais. And it is not like that anymore. And the true mujras are raw like the filmy ones. Dawood used to come here and stay all the night. He would take any girl he pleased. It is a matter of a great pride that the Don frequented these houses. A film star or the politicians could not do them greater honor by coming here. We walk back out through the lane, which is stunningly filthy. While sitting down on a cot outside the room to tie my shoes, my left hand has touched something. It brings it up to my nose and it is smell of a vomit. Inside the room there is a light and a music and Urdu poetry. Outside is a dumping area for the waste of the body. The cabbie tells me that about a club where the women takes off all their clothes but it is forbidden to drink alcohol. And another that is unpopular among the foreigners and the Arabs where 400 girls dance in the front of you and you can select one and take her to the adjoining hotel right away. In the city of a night, there are all kinds of girls in all kinds of price brackets. No one need to be lonely or frustrated. One group of men rents a flat and brings in lecturing women's flying blindfolded. Then the man take a turn slacking at the women's areas. Towards morning, I am in a solitary taxi speeding from the city towards in the suburbans. Not even the airport traffic is coming the other way. It is suspended time before the first train comes in from Viyar with the fisherwomen. All cities are alike in the stillness after the bars have closed. All those who have been loved during the nights must go home now. Two lives, Honey and Manoj. I have mentioned Honey, the man who danced dressed as a woman to Mona Lisa. Honey is a woman who was born as a man by the mistake. Mona Lisa promptly volunteered. She is a very good friend of mine. One night, I made a plan to meet Mona Lisa after the work in all the nights coffee shop at the Marine Plaza. Presently, she appears and whispers in my ear. There was a party at Dilabar. Honey still have her work clothes on and a robe over them. Isn't it okay? Mona Lisa had told Honey how much she trusts me and has convinced her to join us. She brings her friend to the Flush, quiet coffee shop on the first floor of the hotel. For the first time, I see Honey in proper lightings. She is very fair and has no hair on her face whatsoever. She is Sindhi, born in Mumbai and now it is 25. His name is Manoj. Over iced coffee and a French fries, she tells us about her life in the bars. Manoj was the first drawn into the bar lines through a neighbor, Sarita Royce, a dancer who had traveled all over the world. Honey was my project. Sarita told me later. Her mother used to mind Manoj and his brother Dinesh during their parents' frequently absence. You know about them, don't you? The background is not too rosy. Manoj's mother made a living smuggling appliances from Singapore. Manoj made 34 round trips to Singapore with his mother and on those smuggling expenditures starting at the age of 9. Sarita used to ask the boys whose gestures were feminine to the dancer for her to the movie songs. She also organized a private parties. Some of the parties were at her home and the young Manoj used to go there and watch everyone dance. He thought to himself, I could do better. One day, Sarita had organized a private show in a hotel and one of the girls who was supposed to dance called and said that she couldn't come. Sarita looked around and her gaze settled on the young boy. She asked his mother to send him to the hotel. There, Sarita took a plate and attached it to the body's head with the scars of a pain. As soon as Manoj went on the stage, the painful fell off. The audience responded favorably. What a girl, sweet as honey. Sarita's mother started calling Manoj Honey. Some of the men in the audience asked Honey if she would be willing to dance in the bar for the money. Thus began the Honey's career in the dance bars and the bifurcations of Manoj to Honey. First, there was a feeling that the people were waiting for me, says Honey. People were waiting for a heroine. Manoj was attending an English language boarding school in Kalanda, from which he was thrown out in the 8th standard. He was caught in a toilet with another student who was about to rape him. When Honey's first dance started dancing, her contract was for 100 rupees a day. This was a good money for her mother, who has been caught and fined for smuggling ball bearings on one of her trips back from the Singapore. In one day, she lost what she was earned in the 3 years and was left with the 50,000 rupees in debit. She tore up her wedding saris to make a women's clothes for her 13 years old son and sent him out to the dance. One of the customers in the Honey's first bar left a note for her, saying she was being cheating and her mother should call him. He was a Punjabi and had a hotel in Vashi, Maya Bar. Honey became so popular there that the owner offered to pay her 1 lakh rupee if he would undergo a sex change operation. There was one caveat. After that operation, she would have to have a sex with him. Honey left the bar for another, the Indra Prasada in Sakit Naka. There, she started making a name, working there for 3 years. The owner of the bar fell in love and cut his wrist for her. The bar staffs would refer to Honey as a sister-in-law. Honey's father collected the receipts from the theatre for a producer, G.P. Siffy, but would not take any of his wife's illegal earnings. He must have been uneasy watching his son put on a dress and dance in front of strangers, and he grew in turn from Honey. But his wife kept driving this child on, glad of an extra income. The first time a customer took Honey shopping, she asked the customer to buy some gifts for her father: Bermuda shorts, skirts, and a family-sized bottle of Fanta. Then Honey went home and deposited the gift in front of her father. It was the son's first yearning. Honey's father accepted the gift and they have shared a glass of Fanta. The mother came in and was pleasantly surprised. What is this? Father and son are drinking together. And the father replied, This is my son's earns. I have to drink with her. Then he blessed his son. Honey, remember his words. He put his hands on my head and said, You will earn such a name in your life. In Honey, recounting of these words, her father uses the feminine pronouns to refer to Honey. He had accepted his son's strange manner of earning a living. That night, as he stepped off a bus in the Darbar, a truck speeding in the opposite direction struck him and flung him in the front of another bus, which finished him off. One day, a dancer who was in the Congress House asked Honey to go with her to a new bar named Sapphire. Honey was hesitant. She had heard the pimps from the Congress House went to Sapphire looking for girls for their stable. But their doubts disappeared. As soon as she made her entry, Honey started dancing on the Sapphire stage and place went wild. Once more, the customer yelled. She was only supposed to do one dance, but neither the customer nor the prinver, the owner, were willing to let her go. Penswar had no idea about the Honey's identity. By the time Sarita enlightened him, he didn't care. BK told me Honey made Sapphire. When she first came in, Honey was at 16, the youngest of the dancers, the most attentive. When planning a dance, she would think to herself how it is in the film, as she would wear a different costumes for each numbers, changing from Indian to the Western clothes as the song demanded. For a song with an Arabian theme, she would wear a Ghazi Arab style dresses. For a song with a folk beat, she would wear a gungaroos on her ankles. In the song about an hated heroine, Trichy Tipola, she would come to the stage with a bunch of hats and throw them on her favorite customer's head. It was Honey who started the call and response game in the dance bars. Oi, oi. She would shout and the customer would shout back, Oi, yeah. She jumped upon the table and danced. She thought of herself as a second Helen, the incorporate carpet vamp of an Hindi film during the 1960s and 1970s. Her oriental style dress left her waxed legs bare. She would dance up to a customer and lift her whole leg and put it on his shoulders as he sat below her, and they went mad. Then she started another trend. I shot an arrow in the dark and it hits the target. She started picking up the customers and making them dance. I am requesting you, just for a second, please. Then she would blow her money over her heads. They were delighted. The whole bar was witnessing their stardom. If Honey threw a 50 rupees at them, they would throw 500 back at her. Honey was inverting the whole equation of an performer and the audience in the bar line. It don't want that the girl dance and the men just sit there. No one of the girls' birthdays, her main customers decorated the entire hall with the fruits, hanging pineapples, mangoes, apples, and the oranges all around the hall on the string. While the birthday girl danced in the orchard, Honey started talking the fruits off the wall and sticking them on the older customers, gluing bananas on their trousers, oranges on their chest, so that the old men walked around the festonoid with the fruits, and the dancers and the customers are united in an uproaring laughter. The fivers charged into 500 rupees note until the 5 rupees note were banned altogether from the bars. She would throw more some money at the customer. He would respond by hitting her with an entire bundle of 100 rupee notes. She got so many currency notes pelted at her and she couldn't hold them all. They were people waiting in line to give her the money. I used to throw and run. BK scolded her. Don't leave your money lying around. So important as Honey to the Sapphire that the bar gave her the greatest honor available in a city that has among the world's most expansive commercial real estate, her own makeup room. The other dancers stopped talking to her. They wished on her the ultimate revenge, that a customer would fall in love with her and stop her from the dancing altogether. But Honey wasn't so much interested in the money, and she was in the performance itself, in hearing the customers claps and the shout. Once more, once more. When she danced a full shift, sweating heavily, I felt like that I would have eaten a full meal. Honey has since performed for the celebrities as diverse as Steven Seagal and Chota Shakil. She has been to Nairobi for 2 months. She has a customer from the Africa, Jakarta, Mauritius and Singapore. Honey was profiled in Savvy magazine and featured on Priya Tendulkar show. But as a woman, a bar dancer, her secret was safe. Honey tells us about her breast operation. At the time, her daily collections was 35,000 rupees. But she thought that if she had a breast, her tips would increase and she could get a break in the movie. I wanted the cleavage. She used to tape the skin on her chest with the band-aid to simulate the breast and would get whistles. But when she took off the tape, bit of a skin can within. Manoj would change into Honey in the taxi going to the dance bars. She would put on her bras and stiff the cups with a handkerchief of a sponge. Sometimes she had to fill the bra with an scuffled up balls of newspaper, which crushed her like hell. So she thought of surgical inventions, going to the best cosmetic surgeon in India for silicone implements. When she woke up after the operation, she started screaming. I felt like that they were two great weight on her. Now Honey had what she had dreamed of, a pair of a sized 32 breasts. Take them off, she shouted. The doctor said that she would be patient for a month. She would get used to them. She left the hospital and got into the taxi. Then the cab hit a speed breaker. They bounced with such a force I had to grab on to them. Honey directed the taxi to take her to the another hospital right away. She was in the pain and wanted her brand new memories removed. When the doctor at the second hospital heard the name of a prestigious doctor who had put them in, they sent Honey packing. That night, the girl at the Sapphire sluttered around and poked at the sedan. Prostitutions on her chest. Honey, Didi, what is this? Ton ton. After weeks of searching, she found a doctor who agreed to remove them. Honey lifted her skirt and showed me the scar on her chest. Her chest. What, Honey, did he have consequence for her family? Imagine in the community. At one point early in her career, Honey was dancing in a bar in Ulhasnagar, stronghold of the cities and suburbs where many of the Honey's relatives lived. Her uncle had a shop there. The customers of the bar told her uncle, "Your nephew dressed up as a girl and danced in a bar." Her uncle spoke to Honey's father, "Don't bring your son by this lane in front of my shop. People will laugh at me." Honey felt terrible about this, but she respected her uncle's wishes and avoided that street. When Honey got famous and successful, his same uncle came to her to ask her for a loan of 3 lakhs for another shop, and the Honey gave him the money. Honey has also bought flat for her family and phone shop for her brother Dinesh. The bodyguards at the Dilbar, a rather scrawny fellow, is in love with the Honey and gives her 100 rupees at night. He calls her regularly and is very shy and polite. If Honey's voice is little deep, he will quickly apologize for having disturbed her sleep. "Did you eat?" he asks. Says, makes a conversation, "Did you sleep well?" He knows about her. That's now Honey puts it. He knows about me, and if there is only one thing to know, as if someone who knows that Honey is a man who dressed as a woman has grasped the totality of her existence. This is the big about thing, that secrets, and this is why we were so eager to know them. They give us, one reveals, a false impression of a wider knowledge. Some of the people who come to the bar thinks they know what is to be know about Honey, that she is Enoch. Chota Shakil is one of these people. He came 2 or 3 times to Sapphire. Honey remembers a very short man, very respectful. He would never throw money with his own hands, but would entrust his boys to a lot of money. After which the Shakil would ask Honey to pray for his soul. God has special connections with an Enonis and hears her prayer, Salam. The Don would say to Honey, "Please do my dua." But he would never publicity refers to the Honey as a Inak, because that would be insulting her credentials as a dancing girl. Honey shows us a portfolio that she hired a photographer to the shoot. First, there are several dozen pictures of her as a woman, grains prints. Then there are small photographers of her as a boy. The difference is startling. The boy Manoj has a goatee and is dressed in a jean or suits and a tie. He is not very feminine. Two lives, explains Honey. But day by day, by the night, a woman, what did this conflict do to Honey? It drew her to drink, drugs, and marriage. Sarita Rockies got the young Honey started on vodka. Drinking did not come naturally to her. Earlier, she would shout at her father when her father drank beer. But the vodka led to the other kinds of the spirit until it became a need. Then one night, during one of the frequent dry days in the state, three customers came into the Sapphire drink. Honey asked them what they have been drinking, and they came out with a liquor bottle filled with Corex, a powerful codeine based cough syrup. Honey took a swig. It has made her pleasantly numb. It was the day she started on her habits. She was soon drinking 8 or 9 bottles a day. The bottles normally cost 30 rupees each. The courier Honey sent out for the boys for the bar would see her drug condition and charged 100. Customers saw this, and those who wanted to win her favors started buying a bottle of Ancorex as gift. This cough syrup is a favorite narcotine of a bar line dancers. There are certain paramystics in central Bombay outside which you can see a cover of a beautiful Engle women's after 1 in the morning, all woozy for the medicine. The drug squeezed up her system. Long after she quitted, Honey has stones in her gallbladder and needed an operation to take out. Halfway through the operation, she started coming to. The anesthesia was ineffective on her system. Trained on heavy sedative like Corex, and the doctor quickly had to administer a powerful one. The addiction undid Honey. She would, while dancing, lift the liquor glass of a customer and gulp down the content. Meanwhile, her jealous mentor, Sarita, noticed that the customer was deserting her own private show to go watch Honey dance and were throwing money on her. So Sarita started spreading the story of Honey's real identity. The relationship with her neighbor cooled. Even now, Honey barely says hellos to the women who got in her to the bar lines. But the customers started making remarks calling her enoch and homosexual. They would shout her, "Hey Chaka, Hija, Gandu." On Honey's last night at the safari, she was high on cortex and the customers began cursing her. "You won't belong here. Get out, you motherfucker." She told the bouncers who told BK, but the customers was not thrown out. That night, she couldn't take it anymore. She picked up a bottle and smashed it over the head of the tormentor, gassing his eyes. Then she left the dance floor and packed her makeup. She had been working at the Sapphire for 9 years. She started working at the White Horse the following weeks. After Sapphire, Honey hit the Corex even harder. Every day, Honey brought 400 rupees worth of cough syrup. Her mother and the brother, Alam, stopped giving her money, so she cut her wrist with an razor blade. But she recalls she did not blow her buildings among a crowd of people, so someone would notice and alert her family. If I cut myself somewhere, I was alone. No one would notice, she laughs. The cut was so minor then that what she was taken to the doctor. No stitches were required. The personal history of a bar dancers is written on their arms. The Honey shows me another mark and tells me the story behind it. There was an Irani man in the bar, a loyal customer who professed to be in love with the Honey and would blow as much as 40,000 rupees a night on her. One night, he was also spending on another girl, Sonali. Sonali was trying her best to do a free spending Irani away from Honey. She whispered into his ear that the Honey only loved him for his money. So he asked Honey if this was true. Honey grabbed a glass, smashed it, and slashed her arms with a jagged edge. She said she would write that I love you in the blood on her arm to prove it. The Irani begged her not to further injure herself and asked what he would do to atone for devoting her love. Go to Sonali and tell her to tie a Rakhi on you, Hani demanded. The Irani beckoned Sonali and gave her 5,000 rupees to tear off a piece of an dupatta and tie it around her waist in the front of the whole bar, forever making her his sister. The bleeding Hani has to listen to the Sonali's abuse, but the Irani has treasured the piece of a glass that Hani cut herself with for 3 years now. So he won't give money to Sonali now. I asked. He will give you, but not that much. A man won't give as much as to his sister as he gives to his lover. One day, at the height of her addiction, Hani's mother and Dinesh asked her to go them to Pune. They offered an intensive 2 bottles of Corax. So Hani went and found herself by the end of a trip engaged to be married to a city girl named Jyoti. It was all done in Corax dose. I was like a cow, her head's lolls, slack bovines. Hani has been married for 4 years. There is no love with his wife. I know what is love. When you know what the lover is thinking, when the lover knows that what you are feeling. Though Manoj is not love with his wife, he doesn't want children, 2 boys, because boys care for the mother more, so they will care for me. Then she realizes what she would say and correct herself. They care for their fathers more. If I ask Hani if she has sex with her customers, the time I am in sex mode, I have got my wife. I am satisfied with her, but she will allow her customers, especially the good looking and girls, some liberties. I do smooshing. Then she reflects how strange it is, one tongue searching around for the another tongue. I cleans out my teeth. I tell my customers I won't have to brush my teeth in the morning. Do the men realizes that you are not a woman when they get closer to you? I ask. The men were not in their senses. When a person is hungry, he doesn't care what he eats, even if it is a stale. Hani explained the excuses she uses when she doesn't want to talk on the phone with a new customer. She picks up the phone, pretends to be her sister, and says to eager caller, Honey, can't come to the phone right now. She will gone to the slit house. This image destroys a certain delicacy essential to the romance. The customers ring off. Hani has no idea about how to kiss until she met the dancing girls. One of these girls taught him. But then I didn't like it. She was drunk and I feel like vomiting. But she has to give at least this her to the customer. So she allowed the customer to kiss her. Parked in the car, they put her on their laps, put her hands up their t-shirts and try to remove her braces. She protects just like a woman. Not today, I'm not feeling well. Not all of them stopped at the crucial point just before discovery. They take off her hand and put it on their erection, or they grab there by her hair and thrust their face in their crotch. Some of these girls, they were just a dirty girls. They would just grab themselves on me and discharge on me. You can make out a person coming desperately on the sex and then stopping. Then they are satisfied. Hani says she doesn't let the customers penetrate her, but some of them boast to the other customers, I have taken honey. Honey doesn't mind. This is good for me. Then 4 more people says that take me around in your car. It is the life of a man constantly teasing other man, constantly feeding them off all at that last moment. Mona Lisa and Honey has no sweet men, no prospects. That this was says that put Honey, especially in some very dangerous situation. The most notorious customers of the bars, the stabber saber-toothed tiger of the dangerous nightmares in a man's named Mehmood. All the girls know about him. Honey says he would have a sex with them and then burn them with a cigarette on their particular place. He puts needles inside. He was a manic type, a sex manic. There was a girl in the Congress house whom he loved. He would piss in her mouth to show his love. He had a daughter with this girl, and the mother ran off to Dubai. When the daughter came of age, he took her to the Congress house in revenge. One day, Mahmoud asked Honey to go out to the chamber for a private party. He was a Muslim, begins Honey. You know how these Muslims are. Among the Honey's customer, Gujaratis and the Marwaris are the most free spending. Because they come from the rich family, Muslims are the most rough. They are the real players. I remember that her family in Sidi, Persian, refused from the Pakistani. When she got to Mahmoud's residence, his men were beating up someone they have kidnapped. They broke his leg with a hockey stick. There was a blood all over the floor. After they have finished, Mahmoud turned to Honey. So you are a dancer. Show us. Dance. She felt threatened and didn't want to. They insisted. She was in a couch surrounded by the buildings. So Honey danced among the building, and all the people leaned out of the windows to look, and they threw coins 50 pies at her. Then Mahmoud took her into a hut and locked the door. He was going to have a sex with her. He told her. Honey tried to forbid him off. I said, I have won a Quran that I won't do all these things. So had he sworn the Quran, responded Mahmoud, that we would have a sex with the Honey. He said, either have a sex with me or with 10 of my friends. There followed an encounter that Honey variously describes as rather a rape or a provident escape. Tonight she says that she escaped by telling the Mahmoud she had go back to the Sapphire for just one dance, and then she would return to him. Let her go out. And the next day she ran away from the Bombay to a village. But I later read the Savvy magazine articles on Honey that the claims that she was raped by Mahmoud and then tried to kill herself by swallowing a bagon. I asked herself, is it true? He came on me, Honey said. He would smooch me. He fell on the bed. Did you try to kill yourself after the rape? I asked, citing the magazine's article. It features the vivid descriptions of the Honey trying to do herself with a bottle of an insecticide, cutting her wrist and dancing in a Frenchie on her knees until they bleed. Honey laughed raucously. Why should I try to kill myself? Only girls do that. The day after the magazine came out, my mother and Sarita, I burst out laughter. Or rape. One day, his victim got back at Mahmoud. He had gone into the Congress house to pick up a girl and was identified. The girls of a Congress house covered their faces and surrounded him. Gathering strength in their numbers, they beat him up and made him drink from the gutters. At one point, they even ploughed him their money and put out on a contracts on Mahmoud's life. The hitman fired on him. The bullets missed and struck his friend, making Mahmoud even angrier. Then Mahmoud did something that finally brought the police down on him. He raped a girl from a rich family. This was beyond the place for the police. They arrested him, beat him up and put him in the prison. Now he has become a little cold, says Honey. Everyone should have two brains, Honey announces suddenly. One to keep in the freezer when it gets hot from thinking too much. Then you work with the spare brain until the other one cools down. Mona Lisa and I have been talking to the Honey in the coffee shops all the night. We walked out, say goodbye to Honey and Mona Lisa, and I sit on a parapet outer look the sea at an marine drive. The city is just coming to the life. The early morning joggers start by. A beggar ambles along, and Mona Lisa gives his money. She gives her every beggar who asks for the money. For the first time, I see the lights of the queen's necklace being switched off in a session all along the baby. Mona Lisa looks at the waves under her feet and points out the crabs crawling on the rock. She asks me, "Do you believe that this is an Kalyug, the Kalki avatar will come, that Shiva's third eyes will open?" She believed the world still had another couple of 100 years before Kalki avatar arrives and it ends, because there are still many good peoples left. She doesn't want to leave the sea. She is happy sitting there and talking about the good people in the world and then how the others can be pacified, and about how many hours we can talk. She counts them each time we met, like I used to once upon a time with the girls in a faraway country. Each time she is amazed that we find a new things to talk about. She is sitting close to me and the top of her brows is visible for her loose top. But she is a kid. She wants to go to an Israel world, romp with me in the water slides. She sits on the sea wall with the morning ride tide coming in the jeans and the kid's zippered top, swinging her legs over the edge while I preach gingerly next to her, looking nervously at the steep drop below. "I wanted to die," she says, "but then I changed my mind. Now I want to live." "What changed your mind?" "Nothing. My brain was not working. And then I understand my older men fell in love and with an younger woman. This is not because of their bodies, that is enough for the lust, but not for love. This is because of their mind. New, clean, still not clinical, still not hard. They drink their newness." Honey had asked Dayantika to take a pictures on her in Sapphire too, but BK doesn't want Honey in her bra even as inspectors. BK will help this girl out when they were in trouble, but he will not forgive Honey. Honey is heartbroken. She swears she is off to the Corex and chewing tobaccos. She won't drink the customers' pigs and more. She apologizes for her past mistakes. Why they won't BK take her back. But I get back the feelings at that none of this has anything to do with why she came back to Sapphire. "You should have seen her 5 years ago," BK says to me. "Nobody could have guessed she wasn't a woman." So Honey invites us home one afternoon, Mona Lisa, Dayanita and me, to meet her wife and had Dayanita take pictures. Honey's apartment building is next to the zoo. At 4 a.m., she can hear a lion roar and owls hoot. It is a handsome old building built by the inventor of an Afghan snow, a face cream repeated to the turn dark complexion into a fair ones. Honey has a row of rooms in the building that used to belong to her grandmother. Now all 5 of them are owned by Honey. One is for her mother, one is for her brother, and one for herself and her wife, and one for her grandmother. The rooms are connected by the doors. They were all kept shut, so traffic between the rooms is through the long lobby outside. Honey spent the days in her room, which is dark and cool, eating lunch, receiving the visitors, watching TV. The suite has a bathroom and a living room with a daybed on which Manoj and his wife sleep, and a balcony that is a half kitchen and a half prayer room. There are posters of 2 white babies on one wall. Manoj sits on the bed now in the black button t-shirt and the jeans. The only trace of Honey is a long hair tied behind the neck, and the nail polish, and the black skin around the face where the hair has been twilted. Even the voice has come down an octave or two. Manoj shows me an album of his brothers wearing in 1995. There is Honey being hugged by the Purvis, the owner of a Sapphire, and there he points out, or many of the bar's customers. They paid for the wedding. So Honey went to the ceremony, not Manoj. I asked him, did you also go to your own wedding as Honey? No, as Manoj. Does Honey wants to die getting married? His wife Jyoti came into the room. A tall, fair, good-looking Sindhi woman in her early 20s. She doesn't say much. She is not so much shy as quiet. Manoj and Jyoti are not entirely harmonious couple. There is a distance between them. If she gives me a suggestion and my friends give me the same suggestion, I will listen to my friend's suggestion. Manoj had told me earlier. There was somebody in the Manoj life whom he was ordered to only one. There was a girl long ago. She was beautiful, he says, and lives on an forest road. Manoj met her before he get married. He and the girl would go for a long drive as far as away from Kandala. After a full night dancing, the girl and the Manoj would go back to his flat and stay over. She was the only girl I told about my whole life. All that has happened. They had some sort of a physical relationship, soothing, and this and that we had, but not sex. This went on for a couple of years and they broke off because both families were pressuring them. Now she had 2 or 3 children and still live on a forest road. Around 5 p.m., Manoj is in front of a mirror in his undershirt. His chest is still flat. Every day at the twilight, Manoj puts on a padded bra and the 3 corsets. But he has broken out. He raises his shirt to show me the rash, and I feel I should turn my eyes away. Then, for the first time in my life, I hear a husband say to his wife, "Hand me a brazy." Jyoti helps Manoj turn into the honey with a patience and skill and what looked to me like love. She pins her husband's blouse, tie his sari. She knows exactly what points on the wig to press while Manoj attach the pin that will keep it on his head. Says Manoj, sometimes I'll be talking and my glance falls on the mirror and I will think, who's this? So skilled in the makeup, so adept in his descriptions. I'm fascinated by how Honey and Manoj marks their boundaries in the selves. How the dancers keep the 2 persons separate. Among the customers who are aware the Honey is only a woman, half think she is a gay, half think she is an enoth. But she is neither of these, not a transgender or a homosexual or an enoch or a cross-dresser, but a man who dresses as a woman out of an economic necessity. Her closest equivalents are the jatras or the tamasha artists, the men who make their living playing female characters in the flock theatres, who spends their entire life playing one female character until the character takes over their lives. The people who knows Honey's secrets makes the necessary distinctions between her and Manoj. I am standing early one morning with a Manish on Marine Drive, watching Dayanita taking pictures of Honey and Mona Lisa together. Mona Lisa leans over on a driver on Marine Drive and hugs Honey from behind, kisses her on the cheeks. Are you jealous? I asked Manish, watching this exhibition. Not with Honey, maybe with Manoj. Even Manoj's family seems confused about his identity. I once asked for a Honey on the phone, and her mother says she is sleeping, fast asleep. At the home, during the days, Manoj generally dresses like other men in his class, in the short and the t-shirt. When Manoj speaks to his wife in Sindhi, he never even accidentally refers to himself in the feminine person. In the bar, when the Honey speaks to her customer or other girls, she never even accidentally refer to herself in the masculine person. How are they kept apart? Compromised. Because I have never fallen in love, neither with a woman nor with a man. Manoj elaborates. If you love, or even the hint of it had entered my life, my whole life would be have changed. If I had really been in love, he would not have been able to talk to his girlfriend as Annie. I would have slipped into a man's stone. He would be talking to her all the time, even from the bar, and the love would make it impossible to lie. To pretend to be a woman with his lover, love exposes you, makes you vulnerable, and kills all the persons built on the top of the true selves. If Manoj falls in love, Honey will have to depart, killed off by the Manoj's lover. Jodhi possesses not such threat because Manoj is not love with his wife. Jodhi actually helped Manoj's turn into honey every evening. I have a feeling that Jyoti might actually be closer to the honey. The bar girl's involvement with the love is total. It is based on their bread and the butter, their drama. They often fall in love themselves, which Manoj can't fathom. Now Mona Lisa's mind is half in love, half in business. I don't understand these people. Love isn't a blade that cuts down the ladder towards your goal in the life. I'm not falling in love, Manoj repeats. In this line, we have lost our identity, and the sense of your identity is essential to being able to a truer love. We got up to a terrace of an honey's building, where the evening lights is perfect for the Anthea cameras. Mona Lisa looks stunning in her simple black dress. Her hair is up in a loose bun behind her head, and Dayantia put out her that she has an exclamatory fine neck. She glows unfurled under the gaze of a camera. After the shot, she is ravenous and eats everything that the Jodhi gives her. Jodhi is amused by her. She is mad, she declares, but the world need a little madness. I feel very happy in the little room. Win this whole spectrum of the genders and the martial status from me. The married man with the two children to Dayanita, who claims to having a love affair with Mona Lisa and Honey, to the Honey straddling the territory between all of us in no man's land, to his wife who wants to get pregnant, to the extraordinary feminine, unmarriageable Mona Lisa. Mona Lisa and Honey are putting makeup on each other's for the evening, and they are clearly enjoy the ritual. Is my face too white? Do I look like a ghost? Asked Mona Lisa. Put some browns on your nose. Manoj responds. They are going to the work, but if you listen to their laughter and their jokes, you would think that they were going to a party. I feel a longing watching them. Men's never have this. This time, among their own sex, this mutual boosting of an self-esteem in the house became a party. Oh, you look lovely. Wow, look at that dress. Watch out, Bombay. This time is so often more fun than the actual party. As it needed is for the Honey, business has been very bad for her at Dilbar. Yesterday, I only had 400 rupees, says the former queen of Safia, who is her heyday would take her home 100 times that amount. Honey attributes her poor earnings to the fact that she can't or won't have sex with the customer. Other girls go for the night problems they will get. BK is not returning her calls, begging to be taken back, and she feels it deeply. The dancer who made Safia an institution is not welcome there anymore. The main thing isn't even money, the Honey sign. The main thing is that the way I used to dance at Safia, I can hardly dance half like that at Dilbar. An artistic snort, unable to find a fitting audience of her art. Safia strings her along, or maybe she strings herself along on the expectations of returning to the skin of her glory. Honey is desperate, ready to do anything, even dance in the daytime among the falls, the garment clerks on their lunch hours, the in-laws the man with a lot of time and little money. When she speaks to the BK or Purvis, they never says outright no to her. It is always what wait until after the elections. Wait until after the third hall opens. Wait until the hours are extended. Wait till this inconvenient DCP is transferred. It is the established strategy of avoidance in the country of the known. And by this time in Bombay, I am well familiar with it. So Honey sits at home in the afternoon watching TV and dances at night in the Story nightclub waiting for the call from Sapphire. Surely all these men in the audience at Dilbar at Sapphire can't have failed to notice Manoj's sex. It is thus very fact that has attracted so many of them and made Sapphire an institution. Has Honey unknowingly tapped some tremendous current of an homosexual desire in the metropolis that needs to lie to itself about its origins, that can only pay to watch a man dances when he is discussing as an extragically feminine woman. It had mentioned Sapphire to Sunil, the Sina man. That's where a encourage works, he said promptly. He had gone there and seen the Inanj do a dance to a sing he still remember. The great secret about the Honey I am gradually beginning to realize is that her identity is not a secret. Men will bring their friends to the bar knowing about her and watch their friends sowen over her, and then the kid about them falling for a man. Lot of her people knows about Honey, model gangsters, taxi drivers, journalists, and they all think that they are the only one or one of the selective few to know the secret. Honey shows me a picture of herself at 15 in a short skirt with a fetching jacket over it. I would have gone out with such a girl. She is slim and attractive. She fits the accepted definition of the pretty. But as the Honey ages, she is outgrowing pretty. Her thread is heavier. There is a solid line in her jaws. She had put on weight, and there has entered an unsettled sexual attraction to her body. The way her belly buttons present itself, a prominent gas in the center of a bloody white flesh of her stomach. Most women are in a race against the time. As they get older, they lose their looks. But Honey is indifferent. Although more desperate races, as Honey gets older, she is losing her very sex. Honey and Manoj are at a war over their body. Manoj wants to grow the biceps, a beard, a gut. Honey wants a breast, smooth skin, and admirable ass. Honey is constantly trying to outsmart. Honey is constantly trying to outsmart Manoj, aided by an reunite on surgeon in Bombay. She had started popping diet pills, 3 capsules at a time, to become slim. After having a sex after marriage, the stomach starts to come out. She avers. But occasionally, the desire to change runs the other way. Once Honey at a sin door in the belief that it would make her voice deeper. More like that would be accepted of Manoj's Honey. Cut her hair short about a years ago. When she decided she was going to get out of the bars for a good and try to find works as a male model. She got a photographer to make up a portfolio, a set of pictures of Manoj. Then he went around the advertising companies to find work. But in the waiting rooms, he saw the other male models hung with the bulging biceps, aggressively masculine. He soon realized that he had no chance in this world. Manoj could not earn a living. So he came back to the dance bars, put on his wig and the braziers, and called Honey back into his life. I get the impression that along with her gender, Honey's sexual life is so also and bifurcated. Manoj attempts to impregnate his wife in the days. At night, Honey goes with the men in the car, sutures with them, and they rub against her until they discharge. Manoj Honey is like one of these earthworms who are simultaneously male and female at the opposite end. This makes her tremendously lonely. I have been searching for a friend who does this for the stomach. To earn a living, Honey is aware of others who want to be her like. There are 2 or 3 boys who put on their women's makeup but still wear a men's cloth and dance in the smaller bars, going from one to the next as a curiosity item. But there are gay boys. I noticed that the Manoj is wearing a thread around his wrist, and Chance had recently come to his building to bless his brother's child and tie the red string around his wrist to ward off Nazar. The Engans community has also heard about the Honey and sought her out. One day, the famously beautiful Enach Sonam from Kamatipura came to see Honey dance in the Sapphire. She thought that I was like them. Sonam asked Honey why she was wasting her life and suggested that the Manoj should have a sixth chance. Honey wanted to know how Sonam had a breast enlarged, and Sonam gave her the name of a drug that indicates the location in nursing mother. Sonam told Honey to inject herself with 250 milliliters of the drug. Honey doubled the dose. After a couple of weeks, 2 knots the size of a lemon appeared on Honey's chest. When she wore a tight bra, it hurts. I wanted to be in the picture line. I was supposed. Manoj was afraid of what the hormones would do his sixth drive. His family doctor gave him another set of an injection to get rid of the chest. Honey has been even traveled on a woman's passport, which she obtained by bribing the passport officials. The passport photographer was taken when she had no facial hairs, but for some years now she has been twirling her hair for 2 or 3 hours every evening, which her left her faces a mess of a pimple and blotchy skin. She had a problem with an ingrown hair. The skin forms over the hair and has to be broken. It is hard like an eggshell, she says, and every second day it bleeds. Her customers are beginning to notice Honey has been getting advice from her enlarged friends to start having shaving instead of stealing. The enchants maintain that they have been shaving for the years without getting a bullish shadow. So Manoj sends a Jodi out to buy a glitter razor. Manoj says, "They told me not to shave up down." "Why do you mean that?" I tell the 25 years old boy the correct way to hold a blade, as my father did when I was 16, and always to use downwards stroke on the face. The assumption that the honey is enhanced leads to some strange prostitutions. Once a customer was giving her a money every day for 15 days. Then finally he said he wanted to talk to her in the private. "Oh no," thought Honey. But the customer explained, "I want you to get 20 of your brothers and sisters to go to this man who owes me 35 lakhs. I need to recover that money." Honey realized that he wanted. He thought Honey was an enanche. If she went with her crunch brothers and sisters to the debtor's office to sing and dance and cures and rises their skirts, the businessman, shamed in the front of the world, would pay up. Honey got very angry that she was being taken for an enanche, but the customers was on to the something. Shortly afterwards, I noticed the following advertisement in the services section of an classified ads in the Bombay paper. "Outstanding dues. Take it easy. Now available with unique recovery. A trained group of an educated enants who endure speedy recovery from defaulters. Enquiries invited from the individuals, banks, corporate sectors. A Mantua East address is given and a phone number. By the time I call, it has been disconnected. Thank you.